Hey guys, welcome back. So I got a surprise mold for you guys today. I'm not even going to tell you what it is until after we demold it, but we are going to brush it with some chameleon powders, and I thought I had it. There it is. So I thought I had everything out here, but we're going to put eyes obviously in here because it's a character. And so I demonstrated how to do this in my live, and I'm going to demonstrate how to do it again here for those of you that missed it in my live. Let me get a paper towel underneath this so that I can slide it around because it's sticky. So what you need to put eyes in something is the UV resin by Let's Resin bonding kit and a the UV light that comes with it. So basically, and then what I use, which is easier for me, is I use a dotting tool to pick these up, and generally I just put them on something hard. I'm not even going to tell you what color the eyes are, so that way that'll be a surprise too. So basically let me get gloves on. Sorry guys, I'm not feeling the grandest today. So I'm kind of out of sorts. Okay, so we're just going to put, I'm not going to squirt it in because when you have little eyes, sometimes it's easy to over pour when you squirt it in there. So I am just going to squirt it on here, and I'm going to pick some up with my dotting tool, and then I am just going to drop it in there just like that. And that way I can control how much I'm putting in there. And I am using a 6mm because that's the smallest eye that I have. I'll wipe this off, and then we're just going to pick this up. Well, that gave it away, didn't it? And then pick it up, bring it over, and then you just set it down inside where that eye's supposed to be and put it in place, and then use your torch to torch it, or your UV light, and torch it into place. This doesn't take long to set, but because I'm doing the eye, I always put it on just a tidge longer. And you want to do it from the outside and the inside. Okay, so there's the first one. Now you just do the same thing on the other one. Pick up your UV resin, put it in your eye. Pick up your eye, drop it into place. Mess around with it till it's where you want it to be. And then, oops, wrong way. And then torch it. Now, generally, I would brush the mold first before I put these in, but I didn't want to forget about them, and I wanted to make sure that I showed you this. So if they come out, then that's fine. I'll just glue them back in. Okay, now I got the UV flue, so you want to make sure you get that off the mold, because wherever that's at and you go to brush, it's not going to leave your powder. I didn't realize that was there. I didn't even see it. So let me get some tape. You want to get that out of there. And then just make sure there isn't anywhere else, because it won't allow you to put powder on that. Okay, I think I got it all. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. Let me wipe this up before I get it all over everything. Right like that. Okay, we're going to brush all of this with the black chrome powder. We're going to brush these leaves with the green, dark green, intense chameleon powder. We're going to brush this with this pink gold shift that I have from Temu. And then everything else is going to be done in this blue intense chameleon powder. Okay? So let's go ahead and get this started, and I will probably fast forward you through all of this because it'll take a little bit of time. You can see that being a nightmare for bubbles. Yep, and I just popped that eye out. Well, I guess I will put them on after I'm done. Not a problem. Same way with that one. All right, I'll put those on afterwards. Might as well brush that whole thing, and then I'll come back to it and clean it off. BRB. Okay, got that cleaned up. I didn't think you guys wanted to watch me do that. Boring. So now we're going to go in and do the pink. Yep. All right. There's that. Now I get to clean up around that. So I'll be right back. Okay, one last color, and that is the blue. And that's just basically going to go over everything that's left. Okay, I think I got it covered. Now I'm just going to go over it with a big brush, and then I'm going to get the eyes back in it, and I'm going to mix up my resin, and then I will BRB. Okay guys, I got the resin mixed up, but today we're going to color it black with a new product from that just threw me all off. Bond CRAFTOR. And it is their new epoxy resin pigment paste. And it is black. So we're going to use that today. So let me get it open here so we can get this colored. And then I'm going to go and run it through my vacuum chamber. Well, it's been sitting upright. That's kind of comical. Well, I guess I'll just scrape it off my hand and we'll use that. Okay. Hopefully that's not too much. Probably is. All right, guys, let me get this through the vacuum chamber and I'll be right back. Okay, here we go. Guess if I would have had my gloves on, I wouldn't have got that all over my hands, huh? All right. I'm not going to use all this resin. I intentionally mixed up more, but I didn't want to color it black. So now I'm going to have to find something to put this in that I want black. I needed it to be clear. But that coming out of there kind of threw me off a little bit. All right, I'm not going to fill it up all the way because I got to put it in my pressure pot. So we will be back on demold. All right, guys, see you later. Bye. Hey, everyone, welcome back. So this is ready to come out of the mold. I need to get this on a paper towel since I am out of my parchment paper. Put a pair of gloves on here. And this has been in the pressure pot, so it is completely cured. So let's see how it turned out. Need to put my eyeballs on. And like I said, this is a matte mold, so it's not going to be shiny. All right, you guys ready to see what it is? It's a hippo. And I need to put UV resin on his eyes so that we can see them. So let me get that done real quick. And hopefully we'll be able to see them easier. There's one. So there's his eyes. Now you can see them. Isn't that cute? Although I think this one needs a little bit more UV. Not too much, just a little. There, it's better. There. Now you can see his eyes. And so then all of this around here is water. And then you have the leaves. And we're just going to go in and highlight some of those. Make them stand out a little better. I'm going to use gold on the flower. Just on the very edges. And then this would be something very cute on top of a jar, if you wanted to. You could put it in the center of a tray if you wanted to. That really brought that to life. Okay, let me get my green for the leaves. And we'll make those pop. Basically all we're going to do is just go along and highlight the tops of those. Just to make those stand out. If I can get my pen to work, let me find a piece of paper here. And doing this just really makes these pop so they're not quite, I mean, the leaves are 3D, but giving them a little extra color on those edges makes them pop even more. Makes them stand out a little bit more. Okay, now for the water, I'm going to make lighter, a lighter blue on those because that way that will stand out. Find a lighter blue here. I think this one would work. It's just a lighter blue. Let's see how it looks. Never really paid much attention to hippos until my daughter, Brooke, when she did 2 of her internships in Africa, they always went to visit this one hippo, and her name was Rosie. And you could sit right next to where her thing was, and they would feed her. And she was the coolest hippo. And hippos can be dangerous, but when they're raised in captivity, it's different. And I think, if I remember right, the story on that hippo was that it had gotten injured or something along those lines, and they rescued it and brought it to their rescue place, and she had just stayed there versus letting her back out into the wild. But her name was Rosie, and this reminds me of her. Okay, now for her, I want to make some highlights on her, but I want to use gray. So maybe silver. Let me use my other silver because I can blend it. I think I have one open, so I am going to open one. Okay, so we're just going to kind of go in different spots. Okay, now I'm going to take my Q-tip and put alcohol on it, and then we're just going to blend that. Pretty cute. Really made a difference highlighting that. What do you think? Isn't it cute? I love it. So cute. It's perfect. I like it. All right, well, I did have one extra with all that leftover that I had, that I said I didn't want to make it all black, but I ended up pouring it into this mold here, which is the tray mold with the flowers around the edge. And I just put some copper metallic alcohol ink in it, so we'll see how this turned out. Oh, there you go. It just happened to be sitting over here, so I did get some bubbles right there, and there. So I'm wondering what it would look like if let's make this look antique-ish. And this is the rub and buff, and I think it's the Spanish copper. And now I have an antique tray. Got a little bit of that on the bottom. What do you guys think? Looks pretty good, huh? And then what we could do, hold on, just to give it a little pizzazz, is to go around and in the center, just highlight these. Aw, that's perfect. Look at that. That just brought that to life. Perfect. All right, guys. Well, that's it for me on this Friday. Hopefully you like what I did with Mr. Hippo. Him so cute. And also with the extra tray. I love the tray too. Very cute. You know, if you had something that matched, you could set that right down inside of there. But that doesn't match. So, all right, guys. Well, I'll get pictures of this, put it at the end of the video, and we will see you guys on Monday. So everyone have a great and safe weekend, and we'll catch up with you on Monday. All right, everyone. Bye.